All right, can you guys hear me now? Finally. Oh my god, thank God. I don't know why it does that. Every time I start a stage on Discord, it breaks me. Um, okay, let's talk and get into it because I don't want to take this forever. Because you guys don't have time for that. I wanted to have a meeting to go over. There's some outrage over the drug changes with the meth. And what is wrong with Rami? Rami, what is wrong with you? Discord rules, Rami. Discord rules.
What did Rami do?
And they call Curtis the Erper. Okay. So I wanted to talk to you all today regarding the fact that there was a lot of outrage over the meth price reduction with the drug system. And I think the best place to start is with giving people pure, unadulterated facts. And I think we need to look at these facts and realize that there was indeed a problem. And that just because you go and something seems different for a moment, that doesn't mean that the change that was made was wrong. And sometimes what we have to do is to have an open mind. There are problems with the drug system. Don't get me wrong. And there are a lot of improvements that we want to make that I'll talk about in a little bit. But the first thing I want to do is run you guys through the facts because we can't be having a conversation on things like the drug system on the server where I have a large amount of facts and data that the rest of the community isn't equipped with. And I think that's the first thing that we have to really address here is we have to get all on the same page on just pure numbers. And I worked with Me earlier today to grab all that before I went to work, and now I'm ready to present it all. It's all ready for me. The first thing I want to show you guys is overall meth sales on the servers over the net last 15 days. Things I want you to take note
was
of are that
15 days?
196,563 units of meth were sold with $44,971,000
Holy shit!
in money earned on the server, which is an insane amount of money. Next up, what I want you to understand is that that was spread over 648 total unique number of dealers. Yeah, I can zoom in for you. That's a lot of money. Over 15 days for just methamphetamine on the server for $44 million, almost $45 million to be generated like that. That is insane. Now, by comparison, this includes one of these was all players and one was all characters, which is easy to see here which one is which. And you can see the total doesn't change too much. This is the thing I want to highlight the most to you is that 293, this is overall drugs. Now, this includes meth. So let's compare. Overall, meth dominated 196,000 items sold, while the overall drug game was 293,000. But look at the money generated. 44 million to 59 million. So that means all other avenues of selling drugs is 15 million on its own, compared to 45 million basically for just meth. Now, if that doesn't start to like at least show there is some sort of imbalance on the server or that it was inflated, I don't know what will. And I think that's a reality we have to, before we get into the conversation, we have to accept. The next thing I want to showcase to you is, I'm going to out a lot of people here, don't use this in character, is this right here. This list I want to show you is the total amount grinded in less than 2 weeks by a large number of the server. You'll see people here: Ethan 662,000, Milky G 6112, Togi 542. You can see going down the list that the amount of money that was being generated on a less than 2 week basis by a large amount of players on the server was reaching an insane amount. And this is only the top 25. This is
He
a
gave
lot.
us the scoreboard.
Now, what I want you guys to compare to is come over here, and this is the top 50 earners of players that are selling. This includes all drugs on the server. And you'll see there's only like one person that really stands out that's like different on this list, but overall, these lists are almost 1-to-1. All drugs on the server is this list. This is just people selling meth. Yeah. All 50 need to be banned, Rami? Does that mean we need to ban cow? Are you advocating for the ban of CG members, Rami? Because that's what it sounds like right now. Yeah. That's messed up, Rami. So this is the thing I really wanted to point out here, because this is what a lot of our player base isn't really adding up, in my opinion, in totality. And that's the importance here. Is we need to look at the facts, and we all need to be on the same page. Okay? Very important. Because if we're going to have an honest conversation.
Oh.
We love this. I hope you can hear me again. Yeah, my Discord crashed. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, that's the reality situation. We have to have this information. You had to be equipped with it. You have to understand it. So to understand what happened yesterday, I'm going to go into the specifics of this. Okay, so this is the thing. So we had multiple problems with the drug sales. Some of them addressed in announcements. Number one is where people were selling. Number two is people abusing the places they were selling, and numbers rules consistently being shirked over and over and over and over and over again. This is not a small issue. It is made up. When I did up the math, it was 20% of our overall reports on the server. And I've already put the statistics out on the number of reports that we get on the server. They number in the thousands, right? Like, I don't think people understand the scale of people reporting each other on these servers, right? It happens a lot. So when you start to scale that up, you're talking about hundreds of reports on people breaking numbers on drug sales, okay? Or breaking numbers on drug sales, or on top of that, selling in a way which is completely anti-roleplay. Selling in a tree out in the woods, selling on a hill out in the woods, selling in places that just don't make sense, okay? So now you're equipped with all of this knowledge. We have all of that, right? So now let's look at the bigger problem. The bigger problem that we have here is not just the money generated. There is RP in the mess scene, and I want to acknowledge that too, because I think that's important. There has been RP that is developed in terms of like the provider sales market, which is cool to see. And there's a good few people that are starting to do that, which is awesome. That's providing a lot of roleplay on the server. I really like that. That's something I love. Okay, that's great. People RPing when they sell, we love that. We love that as well. That's great. Next up, all that though, we have to fix the problem still, right? The problems are that a lot of people are doing it wrong, or people are getting too caught up in the moment, and when they finally get cornered, they're being put in a position where cops can't enforce anything, which removes the LEO portion of the role play.
Yep.
And then on top of that, the other thing that we're getting into that's becoming a problem is the cops are completely unable to roleplay it. They're completely unwilling to go to these drug calls because they're completely being outnumbered and outmanned, and it is absolutely pointless for them to go there.
Yep.
And then when they go to these different drug calls, and even when they take pictures, they're having the inability to actually go and enforce it. So you're missing the law enforcement roleplay almost completely in the drug scene, which right now, which kind of sucks, right? So let's put that over there, right? Let's put that in a pile. Yeah, just pretend to throw up with. Oh my! I was gonna make a vomit sound, but I won't do it, Hutch. So those are huge issues, and then the other issues are that, we want roleplay hubs on the server, but not at the expense of other things happening. So like, let's just use K-Town as an example, because I know a lot of people won't get offended. Like I know like all the CG people aren't gonna get offended if I use K-Town as an example. Or maybe they will get maybe he's out of here. They might get offended. Right? They might not get offended. So the reality is that you go to K-Town, and it's not any person I'm blaming on this, but you have a group of people selling on one corner and the other corner, another corner, and then you can't control everyone, right? So what ends up happening And the reason why this is the big reason why this is happening, and we saw it yesterday, okay? There is a higher, depending on the ped that you sell in, or like the area of town. Like the GTA has some things that where you can kind of designate where the richer versus like, I guess poorer peds are, right? And there's a range, and that's how we kind of calculate it, right? In terms of like what the return is, in terms of the money. So in richer areas, you get a bigger payout.
The last one was close.
K-Town was listed based on like the base GT, the formula they were using. K-Town had the highest rate of return. Okay. So this was why people were coming there and why I was able to it wasn't just role play, it was also the return, the money return. So that was an issue. So I'm talking about like 125% versus 100%. So it was like a 25% buffer in that area. And there's other areas that are like that throughout the city that are less pronounced. And obviously they went to that area because they get roleplay. But we nerfed meth yesterday at a rate of 25%, right? Across the board, because meth as a whole was just making too much money across the server. We also nerfed the richer areas. So what ended up happening is the higher end stuff all got nerfed by 20, 30, 40%. And then there were other areas now that were at the 100 or 105%. So people just went to K-Town and they started to sell their meth because that's where most people were fleeing. And what ended up happening is instead of it being like a 20 or 25% nerf, they're all there and it's like 50, 55% to them, right? Because they didn't go and check anywhere else. They didn't go down the street. They didn't go to another corner. They didn't go somewhere else to check and see what happened.
That's why they're saying it's a 50% nerf.
And that was the problem. It wasn't that meth was nerfed so horribly. I mean, a quarter is a good bit, but people just assumed meth was nerfed by 50%. It wasn't. It was not. And if you went around the map and people actually experimented with game systems and mechanics, you'd be able to figure that out. Now, there's two problems here. Number one is that people didn't do the role play to go around and figure it out or try to do something with it. That's an issue, right? That's issue number one. Is at one point people would go around and try to figure it out to be like, oh, well, if it's not selling here, maybe it got switched around. Maybe we switched around the zones. Maybe we did this. Maybe we did that. Okay. The other issue we have here is that some of the game mechanics that were supposed to be shipped, we realized one of them was broken, which gave us a better understanding as to why the meth grind came up so high and people didn't see the benefit as much of selling their gang drug. Is this something we didn't know? We were wondering why. Maybe people just hadn't figured it out, right? So one of the things that broke and was the intention of the system was the fact that your gang drug, you're supposed to be able to lace into a joint. And then you get the citizens addicted in an area, in one of these zones I just talked about. And then eventually that allows you to be able to sell the gang drug, which is the bigger money maker. Which this is en route to be fixed and shipped. So that should solve some of the issues with people feeling like there wasn't a lot of RP to the gang drug. So that was a broken system. Number one. I'll admit that straight up.
I remember them talking about...
But number two, so these things, you know, when you start to factor in the fact that the reason why we dumped meth down a little bit was to sell something else. Can we get a safety warning added to Venus Record songs? I think that's a great idea because you have to add a safety warning technically to your Twitch stream. So it would make sense that we have to add them to Venus. Yeah. Yeah, we'll tell Niasu that. Get it done, Niasu. I see you typing. So that's the problem right now. We raised back meth prices a little bit and evened out.
Again.
My God, this is Niasu's fault. So we've raised meth prices by 10%, and we've tried to even out the board a little bit in terms of where gives you what payout. Again, just to see the return. But I don't think that we should have had to do that. I think that was, I don't necessarily agree that we made that decision. To be fair, the developers decided to do it due to player feedback, and that's fine. But I think the bigger issue here is that we have to have more faith in the development team with these systems, and I really need the trust and faith in the player base to test and look at things a little bit more holistically than initially saying this is bad, this sucks, I'm done.
This is such
And
a
that's the
rough
big point
mechanic.
here, is
The
like,
snitch is such a
I
rough
need
mechanic.
that faith in the player base. People need to have that faith in our dev team to try and test things, please, from a simply role play perspective. Please, God. Because the next step is what we need to do to fix the drug system as an entirety. Obviously, there are issues with the drug system that include the fact that they gave way too big of a buff, right? Way too large. We had the same problem with these green and blue pills. I acknowledge that. I think the developers understand that. And then once you start upgrading those drugs, they get a little too crazy with the drug upgrades. So we need to fix that, right? And we're on the way to doing that. The reality is, though, is that there is going to have to be a little bit of a rollback on some of these drugs as we get into it. We're about to open the new drug room with the new drug being offered on the server, and with that's going to come a bit of a rollback on and nerf on some of the drugs. But I think this will be fine because one of the benefits of the gang drug also is that when you sell that drug, what is the system is programmed to do is to lower other gangs' influence and to raise yours. So there's going to be a lot of RP still around this gang drug. I think the biggest thing I want to get out of here is to hear from the players in terms of what it is that gives you more role play around these drugs, right? Is it making some of them more exclusive? Is it spreading out the benefits of the drug? What makes this something you want to interact with as a player? What made the people that are doing the meth game, what made you want to be a distributor? What made you want to buy from the distributor? Because that's the thing we need to encapsulate going forward. That's the thing we need to figure out. The other thing we need to figure out is how do we make it, can we get rid of the hiding your location from the snitch, then also make it more player-to-player interaction? But how, Ramee? But how? So that's what I want to understand from people, is how do we make the role play systems in this better? And I want to hear that from the players. Like, what makes you want to interact with someone that's selling this stuff in bulk? What made you want to interact with it here in this system? And what will make you do that going forward? So I'm going to take some questions. Put your question and tag me in the chat or what you want to say, and then we'll bring you back up. Also, I want to hear about, right now, PD can't do a whole lot when it comes to these bigger drug operations, even though they want to. What tools do you guys think are okay to give PD to make them better equipped to go out and do this that seem fair and balanced? This Ramee wouldn't be what it is. This is why I usually do anything community based on the weekends, by the way. It's right here. This is a prime example. It's when Ramee's asleep. All right, tag me with your question and then request to speak, and I'll bring someone up, or your statement. Okay, you know what, Doug? Come up.
Hey, what's up? Doug? Pretty good, man. How are you?
Oh my god.
So the biggest problem that I found is I joined not that long ago, and I was quite literally given documents on how to get a perfect hooked and everything that I need, like, within a day. Now, the barrier of entry should be higher for smaller groups versus gangs. Gangs should obviously have that easier access to that information. But gangs should be more inclined to attack other gangs' cooks, which I don't really see happening that much. I'm sure it does happen, but I feel like it should be happening more.
Yeah, one of the problems we have on the server right now, I think, is that there's just meta unlocks being thrown around. We've had this issue a lot ever since we implemented documents. People give away information like it's with no price attached to it, and that's the problem. I don't know how exactly we fix that, but that's a fair point. Is that it needs to be harder to at least get into these bigger, higher end things. I agree with you. How we do that's another question.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Doug.
No problem.
Okay, Mean Queen, I want to unpack that one. Hi.
Hey.
Fuck, why is everybody so loud?
How's it going? Do you want to put your question out there?
Yes, sorry, I was dealing with the kids. I just was wondering, with everything that is so expensive, like houses, like I know a lot of people just put a lot of money down on houses and cars and repairs being 2 times the amount. Like, I'm kind of worried that I won't be able to keep up if I'm not grinding 24/7 because of like the cut in meth. And I understand like it's a lot, but there also is a lot of risk that come with it, with like cook counters and
Yo, what's up?
cops getting you while you corner and people robbing you while you throw. Like, it's not always guaranteed to
What are you doing
keep
over there?
your money, right? So I'm just curious of
Oh.
like what your thought is with that and how expensive everything is.
I
And
mean,
being able to keep up without like grinding 24/7.
to take your question on the grinding piece, because well, not sorry, the grinding piece, the risk piece for the meth. I think the biggest thing is like you can now pay to avoid the snitch, right? On top of that, you can pretty much sell without any interference whatsoever on a with cornering, and the police can't really do anything with the current setup. So the risk
do you
is
want?
really quite minimal if you really look
only
at it,
wins.
right? There barely is risk for the payoff with meth, and that's why so many people were doing it. So that's one thing like I have to set the record straight on. Is like for the vast majority of the player base, there is no risk at all with meth, and that's why I think it's doing so well. It's one of the big reasons.
I guess
With
maybe, I guess you're right, but like with my experience, it was constantly like people trying to mess with us while we're cornering, and cops like here in the last couple weeks, there was cops showing up like within 10 minutes every time we started cornering and stuff like that. So to me, it felt like there was already such a big risk, and then it kind of got tanked, you know?
Yeah, I understand that. So I guess it's really situational in terms of like where you were trying to sell and when and at what time and who is pressing you. Like, but for the vast majority, based on the statistics I'm looking at, there is not any risk compared to the spend out for these players. Like all the players in the meth game are basically up big,
Yeah.
and it's not even close. It's not even like 10% of people are down, that type of thing. It's like 2% of the people who get into meth are actually down money, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, the payoff's pretty big. As for the economy stuff, a lot of things like cars and all of that are under are pretty cheap. I think the problem is we don't have enough money sinks at the moment, to be fair. So I think my perspective is much different than yours. It'd be
That's dumb.
Okay. I was just from like my experience and everything, just curious on what your
yeah.
thoughts were, and like, cause I'm also a dancer, and it kind of affected that too. As soon as the drug like sales went down, like less people were coming in to throw and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's more of a product of people getting things that need to be laundered versus not, right? You get
Yeah.
that's the big difference. That's a different problem completely. The dancers are something else entirely we have to look at.
Okay.
Yep. Which we'll do. Here, I'm gonna fight. I'm fighting.
You making me talking here, dude?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's hear it.
I was
Let's
gonna
hear it.
let
Get it
everyone else
out.
talk, but I just think there should be a more variety of drugs instead of like, because at this point, a lot of gangs have drugs where they only need one pill and it does everything, right? Because everyone's so far along with it, and then you don't have to interact or sell with anybody because you already have the one drug that does everything. So I think instead of that, you split it up in different types of drugs like heroin, meth, cocaine, whatever, and they each have their own purpose. And there probably could be different variety of ways that gangs could hold these down in a way, but not completely where no one else can do them, but in a way that they can have control and create a market, and then other gangs have to interact with each other and buy the drugs they need for certain effects. And then to fix the problem where everyone's just on the block selling, you could maybe make different ways to sell, where there's like a larger run, meth run type thing you could do to push bulk orders out there, but it's a bigger risk with the cops. Like if the block is hot, and then of course you can have the normal way of just selling on the block too.
Okay. Yeah, I think I think like I agree with you on making a variety of the benefits, because the problem we have right now is everything's in that super drug, which honestly the super drug was to minimize the fallout of like the green and blue and whatever else pills.
Yeah.
So I think that's like the big problem. And then the rooms were eventually supposed to really fill that role, as like having that big smuggling option, but maybe we need like a mid-tier option where it's like you can sell like a medium amount of drugs at like a big transport type thing that's risky.
Yeah, I think it'll help cops deal with the drug thing too, because I mean, if they catch someone now, we got dragon poo, best drug on the market, but if we get caught with that, it's just one thing. But if you have a variety of drugs and you want the max benefits, you have to carry more amount of drugs. So if you get caught by the cops, they'll be able to fuck you over more as well.
I got a question. Just because I haven't known you guys like far beyond Prodigy, is the poo thing like a recurring theme from long ago, or like
Ramee has a bit of like a poo fetish, you could say. So he makes
Hey,
me actually
yo.
a new FaceTime thing. Call him every time I wake up and FaceTime him on the toilet while I'm shitting. The guy's just weird. He's got issues, but we don't have to talk about that right now.
even after
I
you
think
got
we just
married?
move on. Yeah, we just move on. Don't even worry about bringing him in here.
There's.
But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay, that's
people were
crazy.
just trying to make
Bro,
money,
don't
you know?
believe anything this guy fucking says, please. This guy has had a shit fetish. It's been documented for 7 years.
7 years it's been documented. This is lies, because today he's been telling me to call him on FaceTime shitting on the toilet. I don't want to do this shit.
Yeah,
He
other
makes me
gangs
do
helping
this
other
stuff.
gangs.
And
It's
honestly,
just
I feel uncomfortable
you'll
with it. So
you'll have your
I wanna say that
rivalry.
right here, right
You
now
will
for
have
everybody.
your rivalries,
I think
and then
we need
you'll
a
have
tiebreaker.
your, what
Who
gangs are working
can
together.
settle this tie? Who can tell the truth?
Oh, bring in Hutch. Bring in Hutch.
Okay. Okay.
They got Hutch and shots.
Ramee 100% has a poo fetish.
Yeah, he
100%.
does. He literally calls me also and says it.
100%. The guy's a fucking freak.
Is he server
Like
muted?
he literally specifically calls and he's like, "Yo, are you shitting right now?" And I'm like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Why do you do this shit all the time?"
100%. I have text.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
I also think when it comes to the drug stuff, I think it'd be really cool if drugs were driven via player to player instead of player to NPC. I feel like the coolest things with drugs, at least whenever I played Crim a couple years back, was the dynamic of gangs holding down specific types of drugs and specific areas, regulating it through themselves. I feel like there should be some type of, with the gangs at least, regulation between each other instead of it just being gangs versus cops,
What's the time it finds on drugs right now? Is it too low?
It depends on what you think low is. For PD, me and Rav and Nox are on the same wavelength. Like, my biggest thing is I don't want you guys as content creators and other people in the server to be punished via your time. I'd rather take your money. So I think they could be raised money wise, but I also don't know how much money Crims and Civs have in the bank right now. You know,
So right
Yeah.
now, I'll tell you, it's 396 for one meth dollars. It's 800 for 10 plus, and it's 600 for 5 plus. I think those could be raised. We raised the manufacturer to 2,000, 2,000 for accessory, 1,000 for conspiracy, and for being the main person, $5,000. So we could drastically increase those, to be honest.
I
Especially
say,
with the
right, yeah, I
numbers.
say, listen, if you want to do crime, you want to sell drugs, you got to pay the fine. So, I mean, let the fines go up and times keep the same.
Yeah, rather
Also-
big ass fines and lower
Yeah.
times. It's fine
I
with
also
me.
think a lot of people in the server, right? A lot of this is just mainly to everybody, you know, watching in the Discord. I think a lot of people are going to have to kind of come to the realization that you're not supposed to be multi bajillionaires with 7 cars, 3 houses, 2 apartments, and any
Exactly.
amount of money that you could want. It's not supposed to be not easy, but you know, you're not supposed to have everything you want. So whenever these balances do come in and you're making less off of drugs and, you know, not affording your house or your car or whatever, I think you gotta accept that. You know?
You shot
Downsize,
yourself in the foot with
downsize.
poor financial
Exactly.
decisions.
I think a group on the server bought a house for like 4.6 fucking million. It's crazy.
Oh, man,
Yeah.
Hutch, my stomach's
That's not that
bothering me though.
crazy.
So I just want to give you a heads up.
Stop. I'll leave, bro. I'll close the Discord. Guys, please.
Yo,
No,
Hutch,
it's
it
been
really
bothering me though.
hurts
So I just
right
want
now,
to give you a
though.
heads up though.
Okay, I appreciate that, guys. You fucking cocksuckers.
Oh, it's not working. Fuck, I can't.
I'm sorry, everybody.
Shots, you shit. I don't know what the fuck that is, but that ain't someone
It's
throwing
the
up.
dual. It's the dual. Yes, it is. It's the same one as Ramee.
Now, I do want to ask everyone this question as well. Now that we have everyone here, for cops, I know I speak for literally every single person who played cop on the server. How do we fix the swap and block meta? Because
I'm moving you all to the audience. We gotta
listen,
hear from the community on the drugs.
I just
okay?
want to ask. I want to ask this one question. One question. I swear. How do we
Yeah.
fix it,
Oh,
please?
you're getting roasted right now, bro.
Anyways, kick
Please.
this guy out. Let's get back to the
Yeah,
drug
let's
stuff.
go for that
Please.
guy, bro.
Let's
It's a
get-
drug
let's
question.
get
It's
this-
drugs.
Yeah, we're good. You can kick us out.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I think
yeah.
Gab took care of him by the looks of the logs. He kicked him out. All
Sounds
right.
like he needs to get good. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's possible.
I think everybody that's on the server right now, just go find Hutch and kill him.
No.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Okay, I want to move you all to the audience and start hearing from the rest of the community. Appreciate your time. Sorry about the poop fetish, Ramee. Okay, let's get yeah, EJ, that's a good point, to be honest.
Hey, how we doing?
Good, how about
So
you?
wonderful. So, if anyone was around in 1.0, we had weed warehouses, right? We would name our strain, and if you were in an organization, you could not sell your own strain. You couldn't sell it. Didn't matter where it was in the city. It wasn't about blocks. You just couldn't sell it. So, what it did was drive RP between gangs. We used to do these crazy swaps. I was a member of BCG. Don't hate me. Love BCG. Stop it. So we used to do these crazy swaps with Strictly Business and Noir Cartel and whatever, and we do these scenes where we'd go out on a yacht and there'd be helicopters flying around and guys hanging out with AKs, and you know we did a scene down in the drift track with everybody took all their cars and neon and yada 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 music and all, and we do these crazy swaps, and it drove an amazing amount of RP. So, and the only way that you could get rep from your drug is if you could get the rest of the city to sell it, to corner it, right? So I think
I
think that's a good way to one, drive the RP. It's not going to fix the money situation, but it will drive the RP. I have some thoughts about meth cooks too. I don't know. I don't want to throw a million ideas out here because I'll probably get roasted by the community if I throw this one out. Because
I think what I'll do is I'll make a thread for people to like give hard ideas. But for right now, I kind of just want to hear the opinions that you guys had like typed in chat, basically, right? And you have a good point there on the 1.0 system. What I'll tell you, and I definitely want to give more people a time to talk. That was a system I designed in 1.0 because I figured it gave a lot more role play. but I can't remember the reasons why we decided not to do that in this one. But it definitely was more role play oriented, and something that we should talk about again. I think maybe what I'll do is I'll float that in the thread, and then see if people can kind of rehash why they didn't like. There's gonna be some people that don't like anything you put out, right? So it's potential maybe we lent too much into feedback from the endpoint of 1.0, which like we had a little quite a bit of diminished player base at that point. So
Right. Okay.
but I really
appreciate
like
you.
that system too, to be honest.
Me
I
too.
love that they couldn't they couldn't sell their own drugs and incentivize people to actually role play. I thought that was great, and it added like a meta game to it all, right? Where you had to RP to succeed.
Yep. I agree. Appreciate you.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Sorry for your bowl cut.
Stop it. I'm not bowl cut anymore, but still along the BCG. Love you guys.
Rhea, come on up. I think you had a decent point there. It's something I brought up in a dev meeting actually the other day in brainstorming.
Yeah. I also brought it up in a ticket.
Oh, nice.
My idea is that like obviously the high price of meth was very high. I think part of the problem is that high price seemed to be our backyard in Mirror Park, K-Town, the observatory, the theater, like the pier. Like there's a couple places and we all know what the places are. And a lot of the RP behind the meth kind of, there's a supplier, there's a buyer, there's people selling materials. So I think we end up driving towards the high prices because we're trying to make up for what we're buying it for from the supply chain, and they're trying to make up for what they're buying the materials for because the material market is kind of crazy. So my idea was kind of bumping the price back up a little bit for the higher price places, but having them move. Because if you think about the market, if there's 1,000 people selling meth in K-Town, then the supply and demand is less. So then like that supply demand would move to a different place, and maybe those people that aren't being sold to would be requesting or being willing to pay more money, I guess.
Yeah, we talked about it driving down the prices in the region as supply is met, or and demand goes down. We also talked about you guys may not know what this is, polyzoning certain areas almost as an override, which basically means we put like a virtual cage around an area or a block, right? And you pass into that gate of that area, like the block around K-Town. And we override some of those regions. And we do this mostly for places that are, we can do places like K-Town or other places that are just like overtuned, right? Like an overpowered area. And we could also do it for places that are RP hubs. So just say we wanted to make it so it makes sense around the police department, as an example, to have like extremely high rates because of the risk, right? We could do that. Or maybe one of the Venus Records buildings or something like that. Or we could even make them rotate with those prices, right? Into those hotspots, which could be interesting. So something we talked about.
Yeah, I think you are very aware of some of the RP going on about the meth supply chain with a certain group. And so I kind of hate that like that RP feels like it's almost kind of gotten taken out at the knees because, we can't afford to buy at the current price that we'd sell for. And so it's just trying to work around that. But
the market has to readjust just like in real life when supply chain and stuff gets hit, and when the prices of things go down or when inflation happens, like it takes time for the market to readjust as well. So that's something to also keep in a factor, is like people mark things up due to the money that other people are making, et cetera, et cetera. So just keep that in mind as well. But I'm very willing to listen to like if you guys conceivably see margins that make the RP no longer feasible. But as you can see by the numbers I just put up, it does not look that way at all.
I had one more tiny question. It's a little bit goofier, but can we get the that hair tonic from Red Dead for shots? I think we might need to solve the bald problem. I'm just
that's fucked up.
It wasn't my idea, but I was here, so
okay, thank you.
Bye.
I have a question. Is the issue the grinders, or is it the people have too much money? What is the problem exactly?
It's both.
Okay, so
It's the grinders
Okay.
have too much money.
But that's not hard though, right? Can't you just add like money dumps and stuff like that? I feel like the bigger issue is that people are just standing still fucking grinding like Momo and Cow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fuck Cow, right?
I'm
I live banned him on Christmas, so you don't.
no,
have to say
no, no.
anything.
But I'm being serious though. So is there a world like the way you nuked the green pill? Is there a world where you can just nuke the entire meth game and then just redesign like a whole new drug? I'm being serious. I'm not even.
Listen, man. If the nerf yesterday didn't insult mine people, that statement you just made did.
I don't care about. I don't care about that.
So the reality is we have to reinvent the entire drug system. We have to add a bunch of different drugs, right? And like whether that's cocaine, and we need more variety. And yes, there is a world. That's the whole point of this meeting. That is kind of what I want to do in like the next month or so, right? Like over the next month, I want to pave the way to that reality, is where we really fix it all up, right? The temporary fix though is like we have to do something, right? We just can't let people print money on the corners. Like PD can't enforce any of these drug sales, and so they're not getting knocked out by PD. Even if we raise the fines, it doesn't really do anything. The other problem is that they're making way too much money. Like it's unchecked revenue in general. And then the last thing is that a lot of the people who just grind can just stand up there and literally almost make $1 million in 2 weeks.
Right. I mean, what about adding like a cap of like you can only sell like 100 bags a day or some shit? I don't know, to like stop the money, but I don't know.
We were gonna do that too, and we thought about it, and then we thought about the people that legitimately were trying to sling that, right?
Because I'm gonna
That
keep it a
might be
buck.
weird
Like, what
roleplay.
RP are you getting from you standing still spamming E? There is no RP there. As much as they want to like, people want to gaslight and say that in like the town hall chat or to you or whatever. There's zero RP, bro. You're standing still and you're spamming E instead of role playing. Like, and instead of like, so why not just try to add a mechanic instead of getting your own money up? You get like add something, like maybe like what Kevin said in the chat, right? Like you can literally add like a run or something, not like where you got to run from cops for 30 minutes, but like, you know, or something that like you can build towards, like in 1.0.
Look, there was a guy, F Dot. I don't know if anyone remember him from used to be a caster. I don't know if he's still commentating. And F Dot used to say this. Another Brooklyn boy. You're from Brooklyn, right?
No.
You're
Yeah. Actually, now that that I am, yes,
wink,
actually, now that you,
okay, yeah. So, being another Brooklyn boy, he used to say it's the stuff about the stuff, right? And the stuff about the stuff in this isn't necessarily that them standing on the street corner is providing the role play. It's the stuff that comes before it, which is like the meth deals, like Curtis's meth operation, or
yeah,
like,
you
I
had a
won't say
lot
the other
of
groups,
really
'cause they probably don't
good
want to be outed for meta
role play ideas,
but their meth operations as well, and the deals that are
make
coming from that.
actual
Like,
meth
I've seen a lot of
operations
them.
and start
Like I was doing the
distributions.
narrator stuff the other day, and
But then everybody
literally
shared the
just set a bunch
document
of
on
these
how to
deals
do
going
it.
down,
Everybody
and
just
the
started
roleplay
using
that
the snitch
that
to hide their
created
fucking.
was amazing. There's not a whole
We're
lot of
having a good
roleplay
one.
that's being created
We're
from
just
people
listening
standing on the
to,
corner.
yeah, I
and
agree.
selling,
I'm
but it's the
completely
stuff
agreeing with
before
you.
it is fucking amazing, right? And I don't want to break that.
All right. I mean, I got Chatterbox just DM'd me. He said he wants to be a speaker because he has an idea.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if he actually has an idea. Or he might just troll. We'll see. Here we go.
I'm okay with either, to be honest.
Because I'm gonna be
Didn't check
real.
my
Like, there's
AFK
people
timer.
like, you know,
We'll just get back in after.
I'm just gonna say it, Phantom. There's people like Phantom, Momo. You know, they got supercars. I'm gonna keep it a buck, boys. I'm gonna keep it a buck. That, you know, they got like 3 supercars, and you see them at K Town. But what is the process? So the process is just doing the meth cook, right? I think the process in itself is not as great as like what you just said, to be real as well. Like, I mean, the meth cook is cool and all, but like maybe we do make like a meth lab where like people gotta like, and then like maybe you can go to the meth lab and or like some Breaking Bad shit. I mean, the RV was like season 1 Breaking Bad, but like maybe we can make the meth process like season 3 or season 2 Breaking Bad, where they get a lab and they like, you know what I mean? And they deal with the cartel, and like maybe we add like a cartel or something.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We could do live. Curtis brought that up to me before about doing like the labs, and that was my original idea with the gang stuff. So,
listen, I'll leave the stage, but if you want to bring Chatterbox, he's asking to get brought up.
I don't see him.
He's there. I
Did
see
he
him.
type or
Yeah,
a
he did.
request?
I see him in the audience, right there. He just typed.
City. Yeah, that makes it easier for me. Zate,
Hello.
if you have an idea, hey Chatterbox, 1 second. Zate, if you have an idea, type it out. Before I need to see like the stuff before I bring people up. What's up, dude?
Okay, so just a couple things have been floating in my head. Hutch was screaming and yelling about like the block and swap meta. Now, fixing blocking, that is not like, I don't think you can really fix that, but I'm gonna be real. What about the swapping meta? Okay, car swaps is awesome. Okay, especially for characters like mine when you're broke as shit and it's kind of like your only option sometimes when you're, you know, if you don't really have a crew that like turns to shooting and stuff. But if you want to do swap cars, why not make it that okay, when you start something, if you have your personal vehicle, you got that. But any swaps after that are local only. You can't like bring in your supercar after supercar. You just has to be local cars. Give you a little bit more of a disadvantage if you want the advantage to swap your cars. CG cry about it, motherfuckers. But I'm dead ass serious. It is a way to kind of help, you know, cut back and make it a little bit more balanced, in my opinion. Also, before this update, you guys had a thing. It was like the ATM robberies where you'd like go pull them out of the wall with a shitty vehicle. You rip the ATMs out. I don't believe it's a thing anymore. Correct, Ravage?
Yeah, we took it out to do a couple different other things.
Right. Is there a chance it would come back?
Sure.
Because I'm only saying this because, I said, characters like mine and less like groups that are not very serious, like that don't strive to do like to be powerful or rich or acquire like possessions. What made it so much more convenient to actually survive in that last wipe was literally pulling ATMs out because you'd get a little bit of cash from it, right? But it's not very easy to get away if the cops do show up. So you have to be creative. And if you get away, now you have a little bit of cash. But if you got caught, the fine is bigger than your reward, which I still agree with, right? I think it would be a nice thing to have little things like that to help less serious characters. And it also will help there be a lot more less serious characters, keep things lighthearted and stuff like that.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So the things we put in, we tried at like a real pivot for petty crime, and we added a lot of stuff like the robbing of mailboxes, the package theft. You can grab bags out of the back of local vehicles. You can go to like the sneaker shop robbery, which are like we put those all in as like small little petty crime things. There's more than that too. Is the problem that as a new criminal you don't know about those things or they don't pay enough, or is it that there just needs to be better options?
Okay, from my point of view, I've only known about I know you could break the back window and steal the bag. That's the only thing I know about.
Oh, okay. So do you think that with that stuff, with the age of the server now, would that be stuff better we could just put in the get started guide so people see it, or where can we put that to make the path easier? Because what it sounds like to me you're saying is that it's hard as a petty criminal, right?
Well,
to be a petty criminal.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I think I would have experienced more of these things if I had the unlock on it, right? Like even OOC, I didn't even know those was a thing. I only got like small unlocks, but mind you, I haven't been playing Prodigy 2.0 as much I have liked of. Like now is kind of my kick up to it. But like I have Mr. Ratchet who plays a really shitty character, a different shitty character that we don't want to talk about. But he kind of helps get us going. But he hasn't even mentioned a lot of this stuff either. Are these things not tied to the gang app, or are they?
Those things are not.
They're not. Okay, so we
could.
No, no, please, God, no. God, no. Fuck the gang app. But
Kay's saying that the petty crimes a little outdated payments wise. So we can look at that. We can look at making those a little bit better for petty criminals to have a better loop.
Yeah, like it doesn't need to be much. Like petty crime, right? Like it just as long as it pays cash in your pocket, like that's perfect. You know what I mean? That's just perfect. But there's no like, is it straight up cash that you get from these things, or is there a process to actually getting like the money from it? Like, is it an item that you have to try to sell, or is it like is there like the ATM where you just get straight up cash when you break it open? Well, that answers that. This is my meeting now, you guys. You see that?
No, it's not your meeting. It's my meeting.
Yeah. Hey, man, what's going on?
Okay. Yeah. So you in some of these things you get an item and then you go sell the item. Basically, you go to
Right.
hustle it, right? So there's like a hustling system, and I don't know. Maybe we need to look at the hustling system and just make it, because like that used to be when I used to run Twitch RP. That used to be like the really cool, fun thing, where it's like you'd go and take your goods to try and like get the best deal from a guy,
Right.
you know, on the back of your car. And then we made it a little bit cooler, and it'd be, I guess, maybe I need to open up a thread on that to make that awesome, because hustling should be cooler than what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
It doesn't pay enough, is what people are saying.
I've always been a firm believer, especially on RP servers, that like petty crime is always is a very, very important key, right? It's just to help everybody, right? Because anybody can do it, and those that don't want to get into the big stuff still have an option to do small, fun things as well. Because if you take that away, it makes it really, really, really difficult not to try to glue yourself into a group that is more serious.
Listen, man, if you got some ideas for some petty crimes, hit me up with a DM with the list of them, and I'll get them done. I think that's the problem right now, is like just creativity on petty crimes, right? Like I kind of went deep into it, and to add more, we need. Oh, what is Ramee doing? Stop tying everything. Yes, I read it. Ramee, I read the message the 50th time. And Chatterbox.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I had. Yeah, that's really all I had. But the swapping meta, I really think, just local cars only, actually, sorry, one more thing. I noticed now you can't just pull a local out of the car and steal the car. Probably for good reasons, because it was really easy to get away because you're just constantly getting in vehicles. Is it all vehicles locked, or is there a small percentage of vehicles that you could get in? Because there was a couple of times where I was able to pull the local out of the vehicle in this wipe. I didn't know if it was scuff or not, though.
There's a low chance that you can. Like 5% or something.
Can we raise it a little bit more? Just a smidge.
We could, but I think I would enrage the entirety of the police department that are sick and tired of swaps. But
that is
let
true.
me think about it. I don't know. In terms of car swaps, seeing this has become a bigger topic. A lot of people suggested a rule on how many times you can swap, et cetera, et cetera. I've always been worried about limiting roleplay opportunities with putting anything hard
100%
like that on there.
Right.
We could
the fact
make
that these
the
even happen
consequences for using your own car in a robbery more, or any criminal activity much more punishing. But I think those things get really controversial a lot of times.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So let me think on, if people have more ideas, I'm totally willing to listen on that. Maybe I'll open another.
Kevin even mentioned big fines on personal car impounds and stuff like that. Like,
for use in crime.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I myself, I'm not going to give an opinion on that, just because I'm never going to have a personal car, so it wouldn't affect me, and it's kind of But okay, thank you very much for hearing me out. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Fuck CG.
Agreed. +1. Don't anyone ever tell me I'm in their pocket again, all right? Especially Ramee. Fuck that guy. So I've seen a lot of the criminals actually in the chat. Some of the bigger criminals are saying that they'd be about a strike system and bigger fines. I'm about it if it's not going to cause an existential crisis in the community, to be honest. If I'll just make sure it's like overly communicated. Maybe Hutch, is Hutch still there, or did he run away because of the vomiting? If Kem's there, or Hutch, or one of the command staff in PD, I think what we do is we start just educating people that we're going to start implementing a strike system and higher fines within a week. And we just start telling people that are using their personal cars in crime over the next week, so that we give some good information. I think Zate has been trying really hard to get my attention, and Timac. So you guys request to speak, and I'll bring you guys up in a second. And then I think we probably let this go another like 15 minutes, and then I'm going to open threads on this stuff, and I'll reply to that throughout the night, so that I don't keep people here all day. This is a good conversation, and I'll try to have more town halls. Let me ask the streamers. I usually schedule these on the weekend so that I don't interrupt a lot of your guys' playtime. If you see benefit to these, I usually do these with a presentation. This is kind of last minute to the uproar of the meth, but I usually do these with a presentation. If you guys think that's beneficial, I'll do them on the weekdays instead of the weekends. Not a character. Yeah, I mean, we could do that, but then that breaks the third wall. I can just invite you up, and I'll get Zate after.
Hello.
What's up, dude?
Hey, what's up, man? So we do have the impound system. It's already there. It's a bit expensive though. Like I think it goes from I forget what the lowest percentage is. Like we have a 750, a 2000, and then it goes up to like 25% of the vehicle price, which could be 100K or something crazy.
It needs to be redone completely.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of figuring out like the tiered process of it. Yeah, that's why we're not doing it. The max we do is 2K. But that's something that's there. It's just a matter of figuring out the system.
Hutch and I talked about an entire
just used in a crime or
fucking
things
like
that
strike point system.
Differentiate what strikes would be kind of heavier than others.
Where normal
crazy.
infraction impounds were 500, so like they're parked in the wrong spot.
That was it. So I mean, we can. The training part's easy. Like that, I think everybody's been kind of chill on
that
what we're
puts
impounding
the
for.
strike
So
on for the vehicle itself.
You might see a 750 or 2K.
I think any felony should give a point or strike. Honestly, like I think we should discourage personal cars from being used in crime in general. That's kind of my opinion.
The first criminal,
but I'm kind of hardcore.
Impound,
like
I think was $2,000.
So.
Something like that.
Like that whole thing of the,
and then
the
it
cars
like
being extension
doubles
of the person.
for
Like
each
I
strike,
don't mind
maxing
it.
out. I think like
I do mind the
$20,000.
people that pick the car that's like seems to be the strongest and they use it for everything. That's the shit that I really want to impound, like more than anything.
Yeah.
Those like how many sunrises do we have to chase a day?
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm down. Like if you want to, I don't know if you want to do this. You can spearhead it with the PD if you want. Like you just take it and run with it.
Yeah.
And you go and chase down for me like what you think each tier should be and for how long, and I'll make it happen.
Hear me out. Tuner chips and local cars.
We had tuner chips before. We disabled them at the beginning of 1.0.
That was the most fun I've ever had chasing stuff, and people would just be I don't know, they just take local cars and tune them up and just have a variety of shit all the time.
Yeah, we can do tuner chips. That's not hard at all. That's really easy.
It was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Tuner chips are a little scuffy though with those variables.
Yeah,
they're a little scuffy, but we have access to more variables now and the ability to change them, so we could actually do something fun with that in terms of just how the cars handle and stuff.
I've also heard the suggestion from somebody. Some places will shoot your tires after the third swap, which can get hairy because guns and people get offended very quickly with guns.
I think shooting tires is so shitlordy, and I hate it. And that's just the reality. I hate when you shoot tires because if you shot a tire in real life as a cop, I'm pretty sure it's like felony level in some places. You know, like you shoot the tire and it's extremely dangerous because it can ricochet. And it's like an anti-cop
ricochets.
I don't like shooting. I don't like shooting if I have to, but then again, you know, there's a limit to how often. There's people just need to realize there's a point. Hey, I may have swapped this 5 times here. Maybe I just run. Try that for a change.
Yeah, that would be good.
Anyway,
I'd love that.
Those are my thoughts. I won't keep you too long. Thanks, guys.
I appreciate it, brother. Is Zate still out there and requesting to speak or no? Got it, Steve. Thanks. Smashing meters is one I had on the original list. Stealing tires, car parts, that's already there. Scrapping cars there. Arson. I don't know what you do there. Vandalism, pickpocketing, dumpster diving. Dumpster diving we have. Pickpocketing we have. Vandalism's interesting. Grave robbing. I have PTSD from Red M. And counterfeiting. That's on the. That is something we have at the moment on the backlog. Okay. Is Zeke gonna raise his hand? If not, I'm gonna take someone else up. I think he left. I think he's gone. Eagle's asking about FaceTime and streaming to the server. We're gonna do an Instagram live app. Like that literally is like a version of that. We're doing that. Do I have ideas to plans? Yeah, I mean the helicopters is one, Ramee. It's like going to be a big one. and some. We're also really cracking down on real estate right now. We took on a couple more interior designers, and we'll have the entirety of Vespucci Beach and all those houses done probably within the next week and a half to 2 weeks, and then we're going to move to picking up bigger houses in Chumash and then Vinewood Hills, etc. So we're going to make those quite expensive, so that should be a pretty heavy money dump as well. So, and then S-Class cars should be on the way as well, very, very, very soon. Utility vehicles also are in. I think car lots just aren't putting them there.
Mr. Ravage.
Yes, slow 8.
أيوة حبيبي. Okay, I'm gonna dive immediately into it. Legendary coins. The way myth cooking is going on right now is that once you put down the table, you can literally cook for the entire storm. So maybe that part needs adjustment a little bit to pay the snitch to not give the location of you. Maybe set it like for 30 minutes or 60 minutes and make the table expire or die after like a cook, for example, so people don't just sit and cook myth for the entire duration. I don't think myth is necessarily making people rich. It's the cooking endlessly is making people pocket like thousands of meth bags when that should not be the case using one single legendary coin. Maybe make legendary coin also harder to find, maybe remove it from construction jobs or house robberies, get it from the dark web using Trojan or something, make it more expensive, hard to get the hands on. Maybe also another way is to buff meth runs so that people would find it profitable instead of selling meth bags to turn it into bricks and do these runs. Maybe like another copy pasta of the meth run but using meth bags instead of meth bricks, and like make it a little bit harder from an NPC standpoint. People selling drugs like cornering forever, that is also a huge deal. Like I'm not trying to say anything bad over here. Majority of the other servers I played on, when you like get in the vehicle or move away from the cornering area, you would be put on like a cooldown, whether 30 minutes, an hour, just like the houses, you know, you can't hit that shit back to back to back. Like maybe if you stop cornering, put a cooldown on that. Also, some people said daily limit. So just like in the perk menu, you get daily limit on the civilian XP and the criminal XP. Maybe you can limit people to sell like 100 drug in general, and that 100 can be mixed, like 50 bags of meth and 50 joints, like whatever, just a limit. From the police department, I think, you know, when you open up the gang application and you see these huge circles of locals are getting addicted to your drug in that zone or this and that, maybe if people keep selling in Eclipse Boulevard or the pier or these hotspots for too long, that would create like some sort of a hotspot, and then angry NPCs would come and, you know, like fuck people up, or that would give reason for the police to go there and station for a while. And I also think the police, once they have like a picture or witness a handoff, they should have a probable cause to go frisk the dealer. More interaction. Also, the meth, 99% of the people would usually sell it to locals and you know, like use it for the gang runs. Maybe if there is ways you can come up with a team to find usage for the meth to be used, like outside of being sold, so that it holds some kind of value for people to consume. I think that could also be nice. Maybe regarding the prices, you know, when you go to like Eclipse and people will pay up to 500 over there, but you go to Sandy or another place and then they pay up to 200. Maybe like rotational per time, like every 30 minutes, every 1 hour, a certain area around in Los Santos, unknown, people would buy meth in the highest price over there. How would you know? Either RP it out or maybe buy something off the black market or you know, something like that. I also truly believe being in weird corners inside buildings and starting cornering, and then people come to you and nobody can see you from the police force to take pictures and stuff like that. So that's that's pretty shit RP. Like that has to go. But yeah, thank you, sir. That's it.
Thank you. I see that the yapping wasn't just a BBC thing. You're a certified yapper. I appreciate your. I don't even think you took a breath in that entire thing, which is impressive. Okay, so to address a couple things out there, some good suggestions. Zate, I appreciate it. I think some of those are good. Some of the things we've talked about on some of the points that we can fix, in terms of like just giving variety more to the drugs in general. The coin thing we talked about earlier as well, in terms of just that's one of the big issues for there not being a whole lot of risk with meth in general, and something that I want to look at. It was put in because there was a lot of community sentiment that the shootouts and stuff coming from the snitch was too much, and I'm kind of the mind that I almost want to remove the snitch in general for those things, because I think right now people going out and finding meth cooks has more engaging role play than whatever is going on currently. I just don't think people should make it their daily, people shouldn't be just going around, we're going to look for a meth cook all day long, because that's the problem. We'll probably make some hard rules on that going forward. The one thing I will address there that I think is important is to say that you don't think that meth's really making that much money. I think that's kind of the equivalent of, after I've shown all the statistics here, it's the equivalent of me taking you up to you telling me the Earth is flat, and then we get into a spaceship, and we zoom on up and we look down at the Earth, and I show you that it's round, and then you telling me it was still flat.
Can you? Sorry for interruption. I was gonna say, can you compare the just from the sheet from the database that you pulled up earlier? If you can compare the amount of money gained through meth after introducing the new service from the snitch and before it was a thing, like when it was not a thing.
It's at an all-time high. It's like 10 times. Then.
Like right now, right?
Yes, 10 times.
Yeah, and that is because you pay the snitch the legendary coin so that you can keep cooking there for as much as you want without lifting up the table or anything.
We raised the price of meth. We removed the player benefit, replaced it with another drug. And if you compare it to directly after the coin was introduced, it was only a marginal increase. The big increase came after the release of the gang update, the introduction of meth dust, and the increase in the amount that meth gives per sale, and the region system, which gave bonuses to people for selling in certain areas of the map based on the, like I said earlier, the ped quality, whether a ped's high monetary value or low monetary value. So that's the actual statistics. If we look at it longer, we can't equate one single thing to meth becoming the big thing that's pushing the economy forward, right? With that much ballooning in inflation. It wasn't just the coin.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the case. Yeah, I have no more points, but thank you so much for listening to me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it, buddy. Hope you have a good day.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so much for your points. Okay, I think that's it. I think this was a good conversation, guys, and everyone has a lot of opinions. Joint prices should not. I don't believe joint prices changed. So I think that's where we'll end it for today, because if not, this is going to be like an endless conversation of number balance. And if I have to go over the last 3 months of sale data for meth, there's going to be a lot of over analysis here, and we're not going to do that at a community meeting. So I think we end it there, and I will open up a couple threads for bigger debate on some of these topics if needed. But I'm not so much worried about who's the worst dev in Prodigy and why is this smash. No, I have an answer for this, Ramee. Like, seriously, come up.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Yeah, ask your question.
That's who's the worst dev?
It's Shotz.
Ah.
The Shotz is the worst dev. All right, and with that, we end it. Have a good day, guys.
Ravage, as always. That man is a saint for running the server in the way that he does.